All right, let's talk about health insurance. It's one of those things most of us have, but that policy document, man, it can feel like trying to read a foreign language. But here's the thing. Hidden inside all that jargon are some really important promises. Protections, actually. And today, we're going to decode the 5 key clauses you absolutely need to know to take control.
So, what secrets are actually lurking in that fine print? I promise you, it's not just a bunch of boring legal stuff. Think of it more like a contract, right? A set of promises between you and your insurance company. And getting a handle on those promises, that's the key. That's how you really start to own your coverage.
Okay, so first up, we've got something that's honestly a fantastic protection for you, the consumer. I love this one. The best way to think about it is like a test drive or maybe a return policy for your insurance. It's called the free look period, and it's basically a window of time for you to sit back and make sure you've made the right call.
And the idea here is, well, it's pretty powerful, really. It means you have the right to change your mind. You know how it is? Buying a policy can feel like a total whirlwind. This free look period gives you a totally pressure-free zone to just read everything. And if you decide, hey, this coverage isn't what I thought it was, or whoa, this is more expensive than I realized, you can just send it back. Full refund, no hassle.
Okay, so how long is this test drive, you ask? Well, for most health insurance policies, the magic number is 10 days. Yeah, 10 days. Now, you might see some policies with 20, maybe even 30 days, but that 10-day window, that's the one you're going to see most often. So it's a good one to keep in your back pocket.
Now here's where it gets just a little bit tricky, how you count those days. The clock starts ticking the second that policy is delivered to you. So let's look at this example. Say your policy shows up on January 27th. That day doesn't count. Day 1 is actually the next day, January 28th. So you count 10 full days from there, and voila, your free look period ends on February 6th.
So where do you even find this thing? Good news, you don't have to go on a treasure hunt. It's usually called the Right to Examine clause, and they almost always print it right there on the first page of your policy. They actually want you to see it, which is nice. All right, moving on. Now we're getting to the absolute core of your policy, the heart of the entire agreement. I like to call it the two-way promise. It's basically the virtual handshake between you and the insurance company that makes the whole thing legit.
So it breaks down like this. On one side, you have the insuring clause. That's the company's promise to you. It spells out exactly what benefits they're going to provide, when they'll pay out, and how long the coverage lasts. Then, on the other side, you've got the consideration clause, and that's your promise to them. It's two things really, the premium you agree to pay and the fact that you are honest on your application.
And just to be clear, this isn't some informal, friendly agreement. It's a core legal principle. For any contract to actually be enforceable, both sides have to exchange something of value. The insurance company offers up the promise of coverage. You offer up your premium payment and truthful info. That's the exchange. That's what makes the contract legally binding.
Okay, so we all know life can throw you a curveball, right? Well, a good insurance policy actually plans for that. The next 2 clauses we're going to look at are basically safety nets. They're built right in to protect your coverage when something major and unexpected happens.
This first one is wow, it's a big deal. It provides protection when you would need it the absolute most. Just imagine for a second you become totally disabled. You can't work. Your income just stops. But of course, your medical bills don't. The last thing you want to be worrying about is losing your health insurance. And that's exactly what the waiver of premium is for. After a certain waiting period, the company literally just stops charging you premiums. They waive them, so your coverage continues, no interruptions. It is a critical financial lifeline.
And here's another super important protection, specifically for our service members. If you get called to active military duty, you're obviously going to be covered by military health care. So, what happens to the private policy you've been paying for? Well, this provision is basically a pause button. It just temporarily suspends your coverage, which makes total sense, right? You're not paying for something you can't even use.
And the key word here is paused. Your policy is not canceled, it's just on hold. So when your service is over, you can just flip the switch and reactivate it immediately. No loss of benefits, and, this is a big one, no gap in your coverage history. That is so important for your long-term health and financial security.
So, let's bring this all together. What's the big takeaway here? Reading your policy, it's not just some boring homework assignment. It's about really understanding the promises that were made to you and knowing what safety nets you have. It's how you go from just having insurance to actually owning your coverage.
Okay, so let's do a quick lightning round recap of these 5 power clauses. We had the free look period, that's your 10-day test drive, then the insuring and consideration clauses, that's the two-way promise, the heart of the deal.
And finally, the waiver of premium and the military suspense provision, your safety nets for when life gets complicated.
You know, just by understanding these 5 clauses, you've already made a huge shift. You've gone from being just a passive policyholder to a truly empowered consumer. You now have the vocabulary, the language to read your contract and own your coverage. So the real question now isn't if you're going to read your policy, it's what are you going to find and what will you do with that knowledge?